plan. This hurts 2AC and 1AR strategy and offense allocation. Is this a good argument?
No.
Is the explanation good for strategy?
Strategy skews sounds like words I've heard in a debate before. I have heard those put together into the same phrase. The explanation does not make a lot of sense. It sounds kind of like you're not dispo. And as we have indicated before, dispo is stupid. So we're not doing dispo.
Number 2.
Huh?
Number 2.
Yeah. So number 1 we need to fix. Let's make a note on that. Number 2, one dispositional counterplan solves with their offense. Giving us control via turns ensures competitive equity. That is a claim without a warrant. Why would that ensure competitive equity? Crickets?
Because...
How about this? How about instead we say, instead of one dispositional counterplan solves all of their offense, giving us control via turns ensures competitive equity, we can say dispo solves their offense dash gives the neg flex and AF strategic choices. That's about 1/3 as long.
And makes 2 separate arguments.
Yeah.
As opposed to half an argument.
3, education. Multiple worlds destroy in-depth discussion and topic-specific education. Maybe they do. Why? You're kind of making a claim and again not making an argument here. That's okay though, it's a 2AC, but let's try and get that one. I also feel like this is not so much an education argument as a multiple worlds bad argument. So maybe you should say multiple worlds bad kills depth of discussion and topic specific. How does multiple worlds kill topic specific education aside from the fact that you were taught to say topic specific education at some point somewhere?
It would depend on the type of counterplan, right? So like, is this block for process counterplans or like is it just all purposes? Maybe this is meant for like consult counterplans.
Let's lose the topic specific ed.
Consult counterplan.
Yeah, exactly. Let's lose that topic specific ed one.
And add a line about clash.
I'm not sure they got that.
Right, so your argument for the strategy skew should be that it disincentivizes 2ACs from reading their best offense on the flow because they're spread out, right? And also because the potentiality for the negative to kick it means you have no incentive to place strategic arguments there. You have incentives to place it elsewhere, which prevents clash and development of argumentation, which is key to education.
Bad advocacy, it promotes argumentative irresponsibility, that's a lot of syllables, because they aren't held to their advocacy. That's circular because you say bad advocacy promotes argumentative irresponsibility because it's bad advocacy. So we need a better one than that. Bad advocacy isn't okay. The argumentative irresponsibility. Why not just call it argumentative? Just lose argumentative irresponsibility. Neg doesn't have any. Isn't held to an advocacy. Number 5. Justify severance and intrinsic perms. This is the first one I like. That's just about right. I like it. 6. We can advocate. Whoa! Whoa! Let's put the brakes on here.
Oh, I get it.
Whoa!
No.
You don't want to advocate no perms. How about we take 5 and 6 and we squeeze them together with number 8? Since these are all reciprocity arguments. Say no reciprocity. If they get multiple worlds, we should get severance, intrinsic perms, and the choice to advocate perms. Except you don't. Fairness. If the standard comes, this standard comes before anything. Okay, if the field is tilted 100% toward, whoa. Let's get some word economy up in there. Somebody come up with a better way to say that.
Fairness comes first. Without it, education is relevant.
So fairness first could be your whole tag,
fairness first is your name.
which takes out that whole first sentence.
Yep, look at that. Wow, just boom. Shelby can work magic. She turned 9 words into 1. Yeah, because it's funny. When you just say first, it means the same thing as coming before second, third, fourth, fifth, or anything after.
So it seems to me like the second half is a neg bias type argument, right? The field is tilted 100% towards the negative, makes education irrelevant. So your argument should be fairness first, neg side bias, but I don't really. That's more for an A2 app bias in the 1AR than a 2AC argument. Because you're not going to win on like they have the block.
Yeah, and you've also just inaugurated the whole debate as it matters right here, right? Is you've said fairness should come before education. All right? But that's not true. Because why does fairness matter? What? Yeah, it appears that fairness does not in fact come before education because the only reason for things to be fair is to get to education. So let's come up with a better reason. All right? It is not, as was mentioned earlier, everyone will quit debate if it's unfair.
Yeah.
Good. Only the, yeah, it's, if there's one thing I believe about debate, it's that only the,
Conditional counterplan's not going to make you leave.
exactly. It's the cowards never started and the weak died along the way. All right? And that's not bad. All right? So let's try something different to the effect of leads to bad debates and incentivizes uneducational strategy. We've gotten rid of reciprocity. We can combo that. Somebody is writing down these changes, I hope to God. Yes?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, good. Infinitely regressive. Their interpretation justifies, we can just cross out those 3 words, 40 conditional worldviews that we can't be prepared to answer. How about we turn this into no bright line? Their interpretation justifies infinite worlds.
Boom.
10. Voter for reasons of competitive equity and education. How about just...
When you say conditionality at the top, just say conditionality is a voter. A subpoint, B subpoint. Then you don't have to have a separate point for voter. You just
because
throw
all
it.
of these, in theory, should be a reason to vote negative. Or you could just say, like, vote neg on conditionality, or something. However you want to throw your wrinkle in there. And boy, if there's anywhere to have a little personality in a debate, it's on the 4 words you use to introduce your conditionality debate. That's where I assign speaker points.
What do you think is funny?
I don't know. I was like, I started to go off on a tangent. And I was like, what are you saying? It's my internal monologue. I was like,
I like picturing the different ways you could introduce conditionality.
yeah, exactly. With smart jazz hands.
That would defeat the whole not putting it on the computer doc.
Exactly. Yes. A soft shoe tap. So there's our conditionality bad block. We've revised a little bit, and let's get it re-revised for the morning. So who's in charge of re-revising the conditionality bad block? Weston, you took notes.
Whoever made the notes we just did should email the group.
Yeah, well, actually, I think they were going to do bad.
I know.
They got like, quit on their block. Oh, they got like,
Oh, it's not conditionality good, it's conditionality good.
Oh boy, they've separated their office. They mean business.
Oh man.
Oh, I already see the best argument on there.
All right.
Okay.
We will be as scornful to this one as the last one.
Can you make this bigger? I really can't.
Good Lord. Okay, first, offense. Key to neg ground and flex. Important on AF leaning topics. AF can be bidirectional on list topics. Make neg ground stable. Also, AF gets first and left. Whoa! That's a whole block right there. Let's shorten that a little bit. How about key to negative ground and flexibility?
Key to flexible negative ground.
All the rest of that are
Separate arguments.
yeah. Testing entire AF key to search for best policy option. I'll allow it, but that's a picks good argument. I'm not quite sure why that's key to conditionality. Somebody wanna explain why testing the entire AF is key to conditionality?
Well, maybe.
I'm not saying maybe. All right. It seems to me like that's a picks good argument.
Like if you have multiple counter plans, you can test more of the
Test it in multiple
Like
perspectives.
if you have a counter plan, you can test it from the lens of the status quo, and then if you have a critique, you can test the.
But why do you need to test the entirety of the AF to have a conditional counter plan?
Yeah, can't a pick that's unconditional solve?
Maybe.
Still test.
Yeah. All right, but we'll leave it for now. Increases strategic. Oh, this is my favorite argument in all of debate. It increases strategic thinking. You have to be strategic. 2 ACs have to prioritize. Dude, that's an argument for why the 2 AC should be 3 minutes long. 4, most real world. Multiple choices for policymakers. Close. Let's remember that logical policymaker thing. Although always be careful about the logical policymaker argument, because what the logical policymaker giveth, they can also taketh away in the form of intrinsicness answers. A smart affirmative will oftentimes let you have conditionality, concede the logical policymaker is the good framework for evaluating theory debates, and then say, by the way, they wouldn't vote on politics neither.
Intrinsic permutation on the dissent? Does everybody know what an intrinsic permutation on dissent is?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like on politics, like do both. Like a logical
Like
policymaker
pass the
could
agenda
push for
item,
both.
right, and do,
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't even, don't call it a permutation even, I think. Just say,
logical.
the disad's not intrinsic. A logical policymaker could pass both the legislation and the plan.
Yep.
And then get out of Dodge. One of two things will happen. First of all, either the negative will read a really long block on that. All right? And then they will read a really long block on conditionality where they say logical policymaker 5 times. And then chances are in the 1AR you won't go for condo good or the intrinsicness argument, and that'll just waste some time anyway. Or, if you really want to be tricky, then you concede the logical policymaker argument and conditionality and be like, conditionality's cool, but you don't have that benefit to your conditional counterplans anymore, as it turns out. Or at least you don't have a politics disad, which therefore leaves me with lots of time now in my 1AR to beat up on your other stuff. That's a little gutsy though. Reciprocity, they can put kind of 2 AC arguments or advantages. If the negative makes arguments to allow them to kick out of them. Straight turned ones can't be kicked out of. Perms are worse. They're conditional and you can run more of that. Now we're getting into now we've got an argument. Perms justify, right? AF gets multiple conditional worlds, they get the permutations.
Permutation. Okay.
Hmm?
Well, there's a strategic difference between multiple counterplans and multiple permutations. Permutations theoretically should not be an advocacy, but a test of competition, which means they're different and unique than counterplans, which take away the entire the affirmative to weigh against counterplan.
Yeah, except counterplans are only a test of competition themselves, since the only way for a counterplan to compete is on the basis of net benefits, which means that if the counterplan's not net beneficial, it's not competitive.
Then you
So
should
really,
just
all of
read
those
the
are tests of the
diss track without
intrinsicness of the
counterclaim.
affirmative advantages, is all they really are.
You're such a two-man.
It's true. Counterclaims are just intrinsicness arguments. Yeah, really, it's true. They just test the intrinsicness of the plan to the advantage. They test the necessity of the plan. That's it. Yeah. Now, that begs the question whether or not advantages should have to be intrinsic to the plan. Next, defense. Reject the argument, not the team. That's our worldview and all theory questions. After you read that article tonight, I want that argument to get better. 2 and R solves abuse. The one I see is, there's a good argument. That's the best argument yet.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. It's my favorite. This is my favorite. All right? The 1AC, the F, gets to go first and last. That is a meaningless statement unless it is comboed with the claim, oh, and by the way, when they go first, they get to spend the entire constructive making offensive arguments against the status quo. Which means, add on to this one, please, that at a minimum, the status quo should always be an option. Because if your F is not enough to beat the status quo, you suck at debate and you should lose. Don't write that in, but find a better way to say it. All right? Literally, if at the end of the debate you've not proved that change from the status quo would be a good thing, you should lose the debate. It's just the truth. You got 8 minutes to do it. If you didn't, you failed the test.
Problem solve.
That's repetitive.
You know, you just scratch that.
Yeah, we can just lose that one. Time and strategy skews are inevitable. Speed difference, bigger teams, short T-shells. I believe speed difference, the other two things are bad things in debate, probably. Those are probably reasons to vote the other way. Because short T-shells suck and bigger teams are not a reason somebody should win.
It just means like that there are disadvantages between smaller and bigger schools, and that bigger teams might have more files, but that's not really warranted or true. So the speed difference is the one argument out of the 3 that proves that strategy skew and time skew would happen.
Yeah. I think the argument should be that there's an inevitable incentive in debate for people to create strategy skews. All right? And time skews, because that's the way you win rounds. All right? So they have no reason, as of yet, they will in the 1AR, why strategy skews on counter plans are uniquely bad. Our argument will be that strategy skews on counter plans are uniquely the best place for them to happen because it's the only place the affirmative gets permutations. Every other strategy skew I create with T-shells, with spec arguments and stuff like that, the app doesn't get a perm. At least you get a perm on the counter plan. You should be thanking me for my multiple counter plans. You should be happy I read counter plans instead of T arguments. Don't vote on potential abuse. Allows judge intervention.
Reject all.
How? Does it allow judge intervention?
Because the judge decides whether or not, like in the future, that would be, or like the judge decides whether or not the negative team could have actually been abusive in the round.
Does
That's
the judge?
more about a contradictory multiple worlds type argument about conceding arguments on other flows to get offense on another flow. Why it's a strategy skew, less about conditionality.
Yeah. And if I were you, I would ask the following question of myself. If the judge votes on in-round abuse, do they make a subjective interventionist judgment about what did or didn't happen in the debate and what was or wasn't fair? The answer is, of course they do. Judges always intervene because they vote for one side or the other and the debate's never clean. All right? So try and come up with some reason that there's a distinction between potential abuse and in-round abuse. I would say, don't vote on potential abuse. It's impossible to prove. All right? And we should not be held to account for what other bad teams do in the future. All right. The other thing I want you to do, you're going to find a lot of things to add to this block and to the other block, all right, if you read this article tonight. And it's really long, but it's actually a pretty quick read. And even if you can't get through most of it tonight, please do read it over the next few weeks, all right? It literally writes blocks for you. Like, you just have to just go through it and did we read this last year, guys? Did we read this whole thing? Did we not get to that? I don't remember. Last year was so messed up because I was in and out because I had to go home all the time and stuff, so.
Started reading.
Okay, cool, yeah. But read it. Read it. Really, it's gonna kind of help you get this stuff together here. All right, here's what I want to do. All right, I want y'all to get back into your groups. All right, and here's what we're going to. I want you to assign yourselves homework for tonight a little bit. All right, pretty easy homework though. All right, I want each of you to take your block as you have it written right now. If you're AF, I want each of you to take one of the arguments on the block and write a 1AR extension to it. All right? That explains it in more depth and extends it across, a 1AR block for that answer. Secondly, I want each of you to take one of the arguments on the condo good block and answer it. Vice versa for the negs. All right? So get back into your groups right now. I want you to work out who's going to do what, assign those sorts of things. If somebody has to do 2 of them, that's life. All right? Get that kind of stuff together. We're going to get together tomorrow in the afternoon. We're going to have a reasonable set of blocks together at this point, and I want everyone to exchange emails, please. All right? And hopefully we can get some theory debates going. So get that stuff sorted out for now.
Shelby, do you have
Yes. I don't have any theory blocks on the computer or anything.
I have like theory files. I don't really have like blocks or anything.
Yeah.
I haven't used them in a long time. The theory, I could find some. For like other arguments or just conditionality?
Just for the conditionalities. Well, probably for tomorrow too. We probably need to have it, but.
Yeah, I have better stuff. I'll email you what I have.
All right, cool. Well, I'm wondering if we just give it to them.
Oh. Kutal stuff.
It's good enough, man. Ooh. Yeah, dibs.
Whoever did the conditionality good for us.
Yes. I'll take number 5 on defense.
Everybody make sure you share all your emails with each other so y'all can share this stuff.
Everybody, what's your email? I'll just send an email to everybody and then anybody should know.
My email is.
Yeah, everybody write that email.
My email is. I think mine is in your Gmail because we have yours is too. Yeah.
There's like evidence in our conditionality bad block apparently.
Yeah, I know.
So
So we need one, just dump this all together. Just want to take up the one part. Yes, you object? And now I ordered this wrong.
You guys like split
Why don't we get a water out?
Yeah. I think she did. Do you want best policy option? Wait, I thought you were just doing it. No, I have to do number 5, change it. I'm gonna regress. Please don't mess with us. Okay,
that you answer.
No, you extend the.
We're such a 20-hour extension.
I know.
You extend the.
Why?
You answer the conduct good and you extend the conduct.
I know.
I'll take best policy out of somebody else.
No, I'm taking best policy option.
Where are you taking?
I think that everything up there is.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's.
Or no,
Are we writing our
emails?
emails?
Who's taking number one on offense?
For a little mobile mouse.
Okay, who's taking number two?
Hey,
I'm
you
not.
stop all these video things.
Who's taking
Not too light.
Actually,
I'll start with taking number four. Number five. Number six.
Like, can we each have to?
No, we just have to take it. Now on.
Make sure you have everyone's emails.
You guys want to take
Well,
it?
yeah, we just need to.
We have to answer. Okay.
Okay,
Obviously, you have one.
number two,
Take two.
hire
Why don't you take
statement
two?
is.
I'll take two. Well, that way we don't have to look.
I mean, best case scenario, I get to, but I will take whatever.
I'll take number five.
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, so I have number three, I have six or five.
Oh, you can
I have
just walk
sex
that we
and
said.
all.
so you know, like,
Yeah.
Can you pass up into like?
Here, here's the block.
You want me to email this one?
Yeah.
That's not.
I wrote down.
Then again, I did.
Are we giving emails?
Does anybody want one? One of the stuff about it.
So has somebody taken this proof?
Did you log out of here, Josh?
I didn't.
We didn't do that.
Who was like education, condo back?
I'll take it.
Okay, and I'm taking mercy. No, no, condo back.
Yeah.
Oh, you did, okay. Then I'll take fairness.
That's for condo. Good.
Who's taking,
You
who's
still need
taking
to.
infinitely regression?
I thought we already still taking.
Stop it. Stop it. What is
I thought we already assigned condo. I thought we already assigned.
No.
That's all. No. We assigned condo good stuff. So condo back.
I would take,
Back
Josh, we'll just shorten. You ever hear of Casey Oregon?
Huh?
Oregon?
Yeah, I coached him. Why is that?
Yeah, because I'm going to, I'm looking at like a switch side debate good card.
Yeah, don't cut the